It all began with blood on a notebook. Not hers, someone else's, but it was enough to shake her world. Her name was Aria, 14. Small, fragile, the kind of girl you'd pass in a hallway and forget 5 seconds later. She wore oversized sweaters, kept her head down, and hid behind books. She wasn't shy, she was just used to being invisible. But everything changed that rainy Monday. They cornered her near the back of the school, where cameras didn't reach and teachers never cared to look. The bullies, 3 of them, they liked easy targets. And Aria, she looked like she might break with a sneeze. They called her names: Matchstick Girl, Ghost Freak. Then they shoved her, kicked her bag, and one of them slapped her across the face. She didn't scream, didn't even flinch, just stood there, frozen, and they laughed. Her lip bled. Her books scattered across the mud, and as the sky poured above her, they walked away like it was just another game, but someone had seen it. A janitor. Mr. Dean. Ex-military. Quiet. Kept to himself. He didn't rush to her side, didn't make a scene. But the next morning, there was a note in her locker, taped to it. A pair of worn fingerless gloves. The note read, "You've got fire. You just don't know how to use it yet. I can teach you if you're ready." She stared at it for hours. Aria had never fought back in her life, never been strong. But something broke open inside her that night. Not fear, not anger. Exhaustion. Exhaustion from always being afraid. The next day after school, she waited by the storage room. Mr. Dean was there. No words, just a nod. He handed her a jump rope. Start skipping. She couldn't even make it past 10 seconds. She tripped, got winded, fell, but she came back again. Days turned to weeks. She learned footwork, breathing, balance. He taught her how to fall and how to rise, how to take a hit and keep going. She was still small, still skinny, but something about her eyes had changed. She started walking straighter, speaking clearer. The girl who once flinched at shadows was learning how to move like someone who knew her worth. But bullies, they don't back down just because you've changed. They test you. And one afternoon, they tried again. Same corner, same cruelty. They grabbed her bag, pushed her to the wall. But this time, she didn't freeze. She dropped her books, lifted her hands, and said, "Leave me alone." They laughed. One of them lunged. She stepped to the side just like Mr. Dean taught her, used his momentum, swept his legs, and he hit the ground hard. The others stared. She didn't throw punches. She didn't have to. They saw it. She wasn't afraid anymore, and that terrified them. From that day forward, no one touched her again, but Aria didn't stop there. She joined the school's martial arts club, made a real friend Zara. Together, they trained, and together, they started something bigger, a movement, an anti-bullying team, workshops, support circles, a place for quiet voices to grow louder. A year later, Aria stood on stage during an assembly. She looked at the same school that once ignored her, the same faces that had laughed at her pain, and she spoke. "I used to believe silence kept me safe, but silence is where fear grows. Bullies thrive in silence. You don't have to be big to be strong. You just have to believe that you're worth standing up for." The auditorium was silent. Then came the applause. Some of her old bullies clapped, 2 heads lowered. They didn't look at her as a victim anymore, because she wasn't. She was a fighter, not the kind who wins trophies, the kind who refuses to stay down. Because they made a big mistake, they thought beating her would break her. But all they did was awaken someone who would never be silent again.